Good morning, Chapel community. I hope you're having a beautiful Sunday today. Thank you for gathering with us. I hope also that you've got your good coffee in hand, or whatever your drink of choice is today. It's been so wonderful to have a warmer, sunnier week this week. I hope you've been able to get outside and enjoy that a little bit, even while physical distancing from others 6 feet apart. As it warms up, maybe I'll be able to take off this stay-at-home beard that's managed to appear over the last couple weeks. I know Liz would appreciate that. She says it's like kissing a porcupine. I don't know what the physical manifestations of isolation have been for you, but that's one of them here in our house. Another one at our house that we've got going on is we have some beautiful flowers popping up here. I hope you're seeing those in your yard, in the parks, in your neighborhood. It's so good to finally feel like spring is actually here. In the Christian tradition, today is Palm Sunday, the Sunday when Jesus comes into Jerusalem and is celebrated by people laying down their coats and waving palm branches. It's really only been known as Palm Sunday for the last century or two because it's only in one of the Gospels that it talks about palm branches. In the other Gospels, it just says branches. So go out and find a branch, if that helps you today to get engaged here. This is what I found. We've been doing a little pruning around here, so I've got some branches to wave and to celebrate. Today, our theme is countering empire, and we celebrate and we decide which path we'll follow, the way of life or the way of death, the way of war or the way of justice, the way of greed and hoarding or the way of generosity and sharing, the way of individualism or the way of community. These ways are set before us today. We'll take a deeper look at those as we go throughout the service today. Our promise here at the Fountain Street Chapel community is that you can create the life of deeper meaning and greater value your heart desires. Help is available, and it will take practice. And so we're here to practice today, and we're excited that you've joined us. I'm so grateful for the practice that our chapel band puts in every week to lead us. And so now's the time to join our band in song. So stand up, dance, sit down, whatever is your mode right now. But we are so grateful to have our chapel band lead us in song right now.
Well, I won't back down. No, I won't back down. You can stand me up at the gates of hell, but I won't back down. No, I stand my ground. Won't be turned around. And I keep this world from dragging me down. Stand my ground, and I won't back down. I won't back. Hey, baby, there ain't no easy way out. I won't back. Hey, I will stand my ground, and I won't back down. Well, I what's right, and I got just one life in a world that keeps on pushing me around, but I stand my ground, and I won't back down. I won't back. Hey, baby,
Thank you to our chapel band for Won't Back Down. Every week in chapel we light 2 candles. One is for remembering. What do we remember? What in this time do we even remember from a month ago that life was like? And then as the light passes through the center here, through this open, magical, transformative space, we light a candle for keeping. What is it that we will choose to keep during this time? We remember everything, and we choose to keep some things. What is it that we want to go back to? How do we want to live, and how do we want our living to be changed? Both personally and as a community and socially. It is my pleasure now to welcome Emery Haley, chapel community member, to lead us in our meditation. After Emery, Todd Johnson is going to share with us some of how he is getting through this time. And then senior minister at Fountain Street Church, Fred Wooden, will be sharing with us how Fountain Street Church has in the past and in the present countered empire. Following that, then we will move into our teaching for the week on countering empire.
Good morning, Fountain Streeters. This morning I'm joining you from this lovely tree in my front yard, and I've chosen that because I'm going to be leading a guided meditation on root grounding. We'll be taking our inspiration from a tree. So first, I want you to find your comfortable position, whether that's sitting in a chair, on the floor or ground like I'm doing, even standing. And I want you to create awareness of where your body contacts the ground or the earth, whether that's your bottom and the base of your spine or through the soles of your feet. And just begin to slowly focus on your breathing. Breathing in through the nose and out through the mouth. Slowly in through the nose and out through the mouth. As you do this, focus on breathing awareness in and strength and purpose out. Now, continuing to focus on your breathing, we'll begin to add the next element, the root grounding. I want you to begin to imagine your body as a tree. Imagine your roots. They extend from your legs, your bottom, the soles of your feet, wherever you're contacting the ground, deep into the core of the earth. Now as you breathe in, breathe up through these roots. Move your breath through the soles of your feet, up through your calves, your thighs, all through your legs. Feel that breath moving into the core of your body, into your trunk. Now, as you feel each breath expanding in your trunk, let your tree continue to grow up through your ribs and your shoulders. Feel your breath extend the tree up through the crown of your head and into the branches. Remember, your branches are full of leaves, reaching to the sun for their energy, and your roots connect deep to the earth, full of power and safety, security, and again, energy. With each breath, notice the cleansing energy coming into your being. With each out-breath, release the tension in your body, the negative thoughts, the distractions, the worries. If you do get distracted, notice the thought and let it go. Accept your distraction and draw your attention back to the soles of your feet and to your roots, to the core of the earth. There is abundant energy being shared between your roots and the roots of this forest of beings that we communicate with, and the forest of the planet. As you breathe out, let your stress and emotions escape through your leaves into the atmosphere, the same atmosphere that surrounds all of us, all of the trees, all of the earth. Now continue your slow, deep breaths, slowly returning your awareness to all the feelings in your body, coming back awake to the moment you're in. Thank you for joining me, and namaste, which literally means I bow to you, but spiritually is used to convey that the divine in me respectfully recognizes the divine in you. And so it evokes a feeling, I hope that you notice now, of spiritual oneness of the heart and of the mind between the two people exchanging a greeting. Thank you.
It's my joy to welcome Todd Johnson to Chapel here again this week. Todd, it's so good to see your face. I've asked Todd to come share with us a little bit about what life is like for you in this time of COVID-19 and how you're coping. And so it's really good to see you, and appreciate you being here.
You too, Andy. I've missed seeing you. I've missed Chapel, but it's good to be here. And I'm sort of to talk to you about what I've discovered, because I'm one of the oldest people in Chapel. I'm 71. And one of the things that I've been able to use during this time is my retirement experience. I retired 7 times. Okay?
7?
This is the 7th time. And for 5 years I've been retired. But what I found was I wasn't able to make it stick. And part of the reason was that I was avoiding some of the major issues of retirement. And when I looked deep into myself and I finally said, okay, stop this, Todd, let's see what's going on with there. I couldn't believe the intense feelings that I had when I no longer worked. And I think they're real similar to what I see myself and other people going through right now. I mean, I've never had, when I retired, such feelings of worthlessness, of absolutely a lack of self-esteem, aloneness, loneliness. And now, Patty was there for me, of course, but I mean, as a workshop leader, I was idolized. The workshop would end and people would come up and say, "Oh, Todd, God, that was great. I loved what you said. That's so helpful. I could use it in the classroom." And all once I got back without a job, and that's not there any longer. And so just that whole sense of who am I? Why am I important? What difference am I making? That was absolutely gone. And what I discovered was there was sort of a hole in my soul that all this work stuff had filled up. And so I decided, okay, I'm going to dig into that. I'm not going to try and fill it. I'm just going to go with it. So for about 3 weeks, maybe almost 6, I just sat and let it come up with tears. I mean, I feel a tear now, but tears, anger, all that typical stuff. And I got through it. I started building my life around it. I waited until I felt like I'd really seen the depth of that, then started putting things back in. And now, as I'm dealing with this COVID-19, I'm just drawing on all that experience. And that's what it feels like. It's similar to what other people are going through. I hear people on TV or even friends I talk to, and I say, "Well, how you doing?" They say, "Well, I'm worried about this. I'm scared about it." And I go, bullshit. I'm terrorized, absolutely terrorized. And I think what I learned is go to that deep emotion, go to the strongest one. Because if I stay at the fear, then I never really get down to what is really at the core. But now I don't stay down there. I come back up and now I act using the fear. That's what's appropriate. But I needed to get down to that bottom of the hole before I could come back up and fill it in. And so now,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, that's so important, just to sit with the depth of those feelings for a bit. Too often we just gloss them over. Yeah.
And it's sometimes it's necessary. I mean, you're busy, you've got your kids, you've got your wife at home, everybody's there. You don't have the time that I had. And that's why I'm fortunate to have gone through this, where I could just sit here and dig into it alone, safe. But what I see or what I feel is that a lot of people recognizing that depth of those emotions and are sort of running on top of them. And I don't know. Anyway, that's what I'm finding helpful to me is I can draw on that experience. And when you said, where do you find your hope? I find it from that. I got through that. I've gotten through broken relationships. I've gotten through being fired. I've gotten through a lot. So I'm drawing on a lot of those experiences to help me say, you know what, we're going to get through this. I've done it before. We will get through this. And somehow I wish other people sometimes had some of those past experiences they could draw on.
That makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense. Both those experiences from the past, as well as just mining and sitting with those feelings. What I do for that is I get up early in the morning. So I have that alone time to process that and to sit with it. And then I have a men's group that I'm a part of that, that's a part of our routine, is really checking in with what are we feeling. For people to be able to reach out now via video or phone to talk with folks who they're close to, and who can really help us get to the bottom of those feelings is so important.
Yeah, people who are willing to go there with you and let you go there. That I found real important. I had two guys who really helped me through that struggle. The other thing that I thought, and I don't know if this is helpful or not, but that I found was and we've been talking about that in church, the whole thing of hope, faith, love, and joy. It's my hope and the faith that then leads to the love. Because for me, that's the face of God. When I can reach out to people and be loving with them, then I'm taking my belief that we're going to get through this. And so if I believe that, and if I have that spiritual sense, then I want to reach out to people and just talk to them and care about them. That I'm using my experience as a consultant now in that way. One of the things I was really good was organizing people. Okay, that's what I did for a living. So now I'm doing that both at church with my friends. I've got another Zoom meeting this afternoon. So I'm taking that ability and using that for good. But that's my way of reaching out, and I think that's the key for me now in the future is to continue to show the love, because that's what the combination of the faith and the hope. It then comes out, and the manifestation of the Spirit of God for me is love. And so I can't believe how many people I'm actually saying I love you to. At the end of phone calls, just I love you. And I wouldn't have said that before, but it's so precious. And it seems so right to say those things now. I'm sorry.
No, that's Todd. This is one of the things we love about you. You're right there with us, and you're willing to share your emotions.
Every time you talk in chapel, I'm crying. That's me, and I don't mean it, but that's how I feel, and I feel fortunate to be so in touch with my feelings and know them and be able to use them. And like I said, I think that's given me comfort.
And to share them verbally now. There might have been other ways when we were together in person. We could give a hug, or we could do other things that would communicate that love, and now we can't. So to be willing to say to friends, all our friends, I love you, is such a big deal, and a reflection, as you said, of the divine and Spirit in our presence. So.
Yeah. It's so easy. I mean, people, I think when I was thinking about talking with you today, I was thinking about that whole concept of God and love. And we spend so much time and energy. What is God? What's the Spirit? What's that? And it seems so simple to me. It seems so simple. It's the manifestation is just putting yourself out there, loving each other. That's what I feel is going to get me through this, get my friends through this, and get our chapel community out.
Thank you, Todd. That you're helping us get through it, and I'm sure that your words are going to help quite a number of us get through it. So I thank you for the time and for the wisdom and for your willingness to share with us, and for the blessing you are to not only us but to other people in your life.
Well, say hi to your wife and Anna and your kids and all that for me. And guess what, Andy?
What's that? I love you too, Todd.
Hi. Andy has asked me to contribute to the chapel service this week. I'm out on my back porch because the weather is just wonderful today. He asked me to talk about resistance to empire. And that set my mind thinking in unusual ways, but that's part of the fun. Empire is usually a political thing. We think of Roman empires, British empires, all those things. And we simultaneously admire them and revile them. And I think I want to talk about the way that we think both ways. And that empire is more than political. Empire has that notion in it that somehow it's natural or to be expected that some will be more powerful than others, and that it's okay, or at least not possible, to challenge the subjugation of some by others. I think this is the most important empire that needs to be resisted, the idea that somehow it's inevitable, natural, and that it cannot be resisted in the first place. We see the fruit of that in political terms, in religious terms, in the oppressions and injustices that have become entrenched, because they all say, well, that's just natural. Men are naturally stronger, smarter. White people are naturally more civilized. Christians are better than Muslims. Whatever the excuse is, it's always a resort to a natural assumption that it's just the way things are. And that's simply not true. At the moment, we're being reminded that human empire over other living beings is a lie and a delusion, a virus. It's making its way through our species. And we will survive it. But this is not the first time, and it won't be the last. A simple form of life, some people don't even call it a form of life, is running amok among us. And we could say that it's an empire, but it's not. But it is natural. So I want you to think for a moment about all the subtle empires that are out there. The empires of politics, of course, and of religion, but also of species and of mind. There are empires of the mind that keep us from thinking in a way that could be truly creative, of new ways of being community and individual and family, of congregation. Now, I'm not naive. I'm not going to suggest that just doing things a little different or that this pandemic will change everything. No, we're going to revert back to the other way, because that's what empire does. It establishes itself as normal and normative. But I hope that when we're at the end of this pandemic, will be a little pause when we say, really, do we have to do that again? Are we not able to make other choices? I'm not sure, because I can't write the future. But we can all resist the empires of the mind and the spirit as a spiritual practice, which is so much a part of the chapel community, to do something on a conscious and conscientious basis, with help, to prevent, resist, overcome, escape the little empires that are in our own minds. The chapel community was a resistance to empire in its own way. Not that the church was being imperial, but the inner empire that said church had to be this way and in that form to be Fountain Street Church was questioned when we set up the whole chapel service years and years ago. And it became different because we tried to allow a different way of being Fountain Street Church to come into existence. And now we're doing this virtual stuff, which is not the same as what we did before, but I kind of hope we'll keep it, or you will. Another empire is the whole notion of what ministry is. And we're learning that it belongs to the whole community, not to the staff or even to the clergy. And I use the word clergy very consciously because the ministry belongs to the community. And we clergy are there to help it happen. We do a bunch, but we cannot do it all. And what's more, it is the calling of the congregation, the community, to minister that matters. That's when we truly embody in the world what we're about. So chapel itself was a resistance to a spiritual empire. And the idea of ministry as belonging to the congregation, not to the clergy, is another resistance to empire. And this pandemic is reminding us that what we thought we were, or what kind of power we thought we had, is not really there. This is my last visit with you as your senior minister, and I've not been present to you personally, and I won't be present to you as a clergy person in the first place, in the future. That's going to be hard, because I so value what you've been able to do and where you can still go. Part of the empire I had to overcome was thinking I had to be a direct part of it as the senior minister. I miss serving you directly, but I am delighted that you served the church better than I could have helped you do it. And so, to all the empires, great and small, the ones that gird the globe and spend too much money on war and fear, to the tiny ones that exist in little minds and keep us from becoming the people that we dreamed of being when we were children. For all those empires, here and there, now and in the future, we shall resist them. And I'm so glad that I was helping you do that. And now I can let go of that empire and let you move forward. Bless you all. You have a great future. For Fountain Street Church is blessed to find a new way of being in you. Take care. And if I see you on the street, let's say hello sometime. Thank you.
Thank you, Fred. And thank you to Todd and to Emery. Our message today is encountering empire, or countering empire. I want to open us with a reading from Charles Eisenstein called The Coronation, written for this time. There is an alternative to the paradise of perfect control that our civilization has so long pursued, and that recedes as fast as our progress, like a mirage on the horizon. Yes, we can proceed as before down the path toward greater insulation, isolation, domination, and separation. We can normalize heightened levels of separation and control, believe that they are necessary to keep us safe, and accept a world in which we are afraid to be near each other. Or we can take advantage of this pause, this break in normal, to turn onto a path of reunion, of holism, of the restoring of lost connections, of the repair of community, and the rejoining of the web of life. For a long time, we as a collective have stood helpless in the face of an ever-sickening society, whether it is declining health, decaying infrastructure, depression, suicide, addiction, ecological degradation, or concentration of wealth. The symptoms of civilizational malaise in the developed world are plain to see, but we have been stuck in the systems and patterns that cause them. Now, COVID has gifted us a reset. From Charles Eisenstein. As I said in the opening, today in the Christian tradition is celebrated as Palm Sunday. And in the Jewish tradition, we move into Passover this week. Passover, as many of you know, is when Moses led the Israelites out of slavery in Egypt to the Promised Land. The Israelites had been enslaved by the Egyptians for 430 years. And they escape through a series of plagues. 600,000 adults plus children plus all their animals are led out of slavery by a pillar of cloud during the day and a pillar of fire at night through the Red Sea and to the Promised Land. 40 years of wandering in between there before getting to the Promised Land. But it was freedom. It was freedom from all that binds. Similarly, the Palm Sunday story offers us a look at the prophet, the priest, the peasant, the commoner, the teacher, the healer. Jesus coming into Jerusalem during Passover. Jesus enters to a celebration of the common people, where they lay down their cloaks, their coats, their shirts, where they find whatever branches are available, lay those down in front of him as he enters on a donkey. And if you read the Gospels closely, one of them indicates that he's kind of coming in maybe on two donkeys. It's almost like a circus scene. He's standing with one foot on each, coming into this crowded city. And they celebrate his message, the message of peace, of shalom, of sharing, of community, of healing. As into the other side of Jerusalem enter the powers, the empire, on their white horses, with their soldiers, with their weapons, coming to scare and to bring fear and to dominate and to control. These are the ways set before the Israelites in that day, and they are the ways set before us today. The big question is how to achieve peace, how to achieve that shalom. The way of death says that we achieve it by control, by domination, by violence, in the end, by war. War is how we achieve peace. The way of Jesus in the story of Palm Sunday is that we achieve peace by justice. We achieve peace by making sure that everyone has enough, that everyone has access to what we need. So the question is, how do we get to peace? Is it by war or is it by justice? And that's the choice that is laid out before us now. In this COVID opportunity personally, we have opportunities to choose between those two ways. Will we hoard or will we share? Will we heal those around us or will we focus only on ourselves? Will we have an us versus them mentality or will we think about the community and especially those who have been oppressed, who are caught in poverty, who are marginalized around us? I want to look at a couple of broader examples of that. When we have this us versus them mentality, then we war on everything, right? You know it, you've heard it, it's the war on drugs. It's the war on crime, it's the war on terror. War, war, war. Now it's the war on COVID or the war on germs or the war on viruses. And what war does is generates endless war. And it also diverts our attention from the conditions that breed illness, the conditions that breed terrorism, the conditions that breed crime. we look the other way as we focus on the war. Many of us are aware of this now. Naomi Klein famously talked about this in a book more than a decade ago called The Shock Doctrine. When there's a crisis, it is a great opportunity. It can be like the New Deal in the 1930s, where it is much more communal and we come together to create systems of support for one another as a society. Or it can be like so many other crises, where those in power, where the elite, where the wealthy use this opportunity to hoard more money for themselves, to gain more control, to put in more dominating systems. Locally here, Jeff Smith writes about with GRID, G-R-I-I-D, how the systems in place now have allowed two families in our community, the DeVos family and the Meyer family, to accumulate more than $15 billion in assets by maximizing profit over people. As a community, as a society, as a country, we have prioritized public bailouts of the corporate sector. There are more than 600 billionaires in our country right now, an increase of 200 billionaires in just the past decade, while we allow 38 million people to live in poverty and countless more to live on the very edge of it. So again, the choice is before us as individuals and as a community. Will we live out of scarcity or out of abundance for all? Will we live out of hoarding or sharing? Jeff Smith makes the point in his article this week that the Meyer and DeVos families, for as much as they've done for a number of us in the community, could essentially provide everything we need in this coronavirus time, in this time of pandemic, should they so choose? Or should we as a society so choose that we would more evenly divide the assets of our country? In a webinar last week, Tracy Blackman, who is the Associate General Minister of the United Church of Christ for Justice and Local Church Ministries, and one of the great justice leaders in our country, was talking about this time. And she reminded folks on the call of an old saying in some African American communities: when white folks catch a cold, black folks get pneumonia. She went on to say that the way we get through this is those who have salaried jobs and more stability have to look out for those who don't. We need to be each other's keepers. Her message is entirely countercultural to white communities. We have been taught and brought up in so many ways to keep everything we can, to insure ourselves to the hilt. Our behavior suggests that we believe capitalism is the great religion. As we face these difficult days ahead, I encourage us to trust that we have enough to share. And if we don't, trust that you can ask for help and your community will respond with love and generosity. We have an opportunity here in the midst of this crisis to choose a new normal, to live into a new way of being. What is your dream? What is your dream for a better and more compassionate and just world? I hope we'll have an opportunity to talk about that a little bit in our Zoom coffee hour afterwards. See the link in the comments here, in the chat, and on our Facebook page. I close with where we started, with Charles Eisenstein. At the end of his article, he says this: "This terrain can be changed. by trauma healing on a personal level. So many of us have been traumatized in so many ways by living in a monetized society. So we need that personal healing. And also, he says, by systemic change toward a more compassionate society, and by transforming the basic narrative of separation, the separate self in a world of other, me separate from you, humanity separate from nature. To be alone is a primal fear, and modern society has rendered us more and more alone. But the time of reunion is here. Every act of compassion, kindness, courage, or generosity heals us from the story of separation, because it assures both actor and witness that we are in this together. That's our invitation, friends, to make this, even now, and then once we move through this, into the time of reunion, reunification. Let us act with compassion, with kindness, with courage, with generosity. Every week in chapel, we take an offering, an act of generosity. And in that offering is both the symbolizing of the offering of our lives to one another. Help is available, we say, in our promise, and we believe it. That help is available in each one of us to each other. And we also celebrate the ways that we can give financially to support this institution, Fountain Street Church, and the incredible work that it does in the community to grow the mind, free the soul, change the world. And half of the offering goes to special ministries in the community. Right now, they will be going to support groups that specifically are working to help during this pandemic, those who are unable to get what they need. So I ask us to practice. It will take practice, it says, to create that life of deeper meaning and greater value. Here's one opportunity to practice generosity, to practice compassion. You can make a gift online at fountainstreet.org/giving, or you can text to give, as you'll see on the screen now. Following the offering, our band will come on back up and we'll sing together. Thank you again for joining us at Fountain Street Chapel today. I invite you this week to consider what is one personal practice of countering empire that you will take up, that you will focus on, that you will use to make a difference in your own life, in the life of your community, and in the life of our world. And then if you're able, if you have the energy for it now, what's one communal practice that you can join? It might be a small community just right around you. It might be in our city or state, our country, or something that is a worldwide movement. But find a communal practice that counters empire this week. No matter what you choose to do, know that you are beloved, that you are enough today. And as we end our chapel services each week, go in peace and love. I'll say go in peace, you say in love. Go in peace and, go in peace and, go in peace and love. Have a great week, everyone, and we'll see you next Sunday.